Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update for gold and silver. We're going to look at the dollar, 10-year, gold and silver, continuous contract prices, ETFs, and then individual companies to see what's going on. And I'll give you my financial opinion. It's just an opinion. Please don't use this as advice. Make sure it fits within your investment strategy. Again, I'm looking at this from a very jaded perspective, jaded being my paradigm that I know with the expansion phase of real estate, which in my opinion is inflationary. If you look at history at all the expansionary phases of real estate, we've always had commodity booms so long that the alignment of the valuation was cheap at the beginning of the boom. We have those same market conditions and dynamics in play right now where the commodity to stock ratio is very cheap. We are going into an expansion phase of real estate, which is inflationary. That's where money gets loaned into existence and into the system. We are still very, very young in this expansion phase of real estate. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for this inflation to get into the system, and it's delayed by about a year or two. So we see we're going right into an expansion phase. We've been in it. It's not a huge expansion phase. It's very kind of small in nature, above the average. And we're just starting to get into it. And it's going to take some time for this inflation to get into the system. But every single time in history, 100%, as this alignment happens, eventually prices follow with higher commodity prices and higher gold and silver prices. So let's jump into the charts. I'll show you what I'm doing on the short term, what I see, and I'll give you my opinion. So we've got the dollar here, which is basically flat. We had a nice little up move in the dollar, and then it basically retraced. This could be kind of a peaking pattern. Let me see if I can throw in a line here. And you can see kind of this downtrend line that's created. And we're heading on lower in the dollar, which is good for commodities. You could say the same thing for gold here on an uptrend. We've been moving in this uptrend here, which looks really good. And let's put this right here. We're doing technical analysis real time. It looks like we broke to the upside of that little guy there. If it'll stop snapping on me. Looks like it broke to the upside. So this looks pretty good for a continuation move higher, hopefully, for gold, because it looks good, and hopefully lower if you draw a pattern through here, lower for the dollar. And we'll see if that continues. We'll see. The very short-term analysis stuff is obviously the least reliable. I like taking big picture views. Usually those are a lot more reliable. Looking at the dollar from a little bit bigger picture view, we came up today. Remember, I'm missing the most recent day. It doesn't post real time. We had this kind of reversal point at the top. And what that's going to look like is a little wick at the top where it opened here and closed real similarly. And you're going to have a big wick at the top with a small little candlestick. So it's probably a topping pattern, which could mean that we're going to be heading lower coming up here. How much lower? Not sure. We do have this bullish engulfing here. We'll see if it's just a 3-day pattern and it turns, but it's something to monitor. I am very surprised that the dollar's been as strong as it has. I would have figured that this would have been heading lower already. And then we got the 10-year yield. The 10-year yield was down today, 4.5% roughly. Looking at this, we do have a kind of a trend line that it's flirting with to the downside. We also have this trend line here, which means it could back test this trend line here, right there. It could come down, back test this, and then move up potentially. Now looking at gold, gold doesn't look too bad. We contracted down, so we had this big sell-off. We contracted down, and then we have a little wick at the bottom and moved on up today. I'm not claiming a bottom here, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. It's firming up at least. Silver looks like it's contracting in its body, so the opening and closing prices are coming down and contracting, which usually means the momentum is slowing, and it's about to make a turn, potentially. Again, we got this bullish engulfing here. Usually that lasts for a little bit, and then we came on back, and hopefully we can push on up again. But right now we're in a downtrend. Well, let me draw it in there actually. We're back into the downtrend. It failed to break out, and we're still in this downtrend right now. And then looking at platinum, platinum sold off pretty hard today. Again, remember what I like doing. I don't like buying into weakness. Wait for strength to show up before getting into it. But platinum is of an incredible deal in terms of ratios. It is the cheapest precious metal there is. I like the physical metal. We'll look at some platinum producers, but I'm still a physical kind of guy, I guess. Here's GDX, an ETF. It looks like we're slowing down the momentum. And it's trying to put in a bottom. We'll see if it can stick. We'll see what tomorrow brings us. But we are still in a downtrend. Looking at SILJ, again, this looks like it's trying to slow down and put in a bottom and bring this thing back up. But let me see if we broke the downtrend line here. Yeah, we're still playing with this downtrend line. There we are. It's a back test. And I don't see this thing blowing out to the downside. So if you got the courage, it's up to you. I would become a sprinkle master. A sprinkle master is someone who cost averages in and is slow to do so. So let's say you have $1,000 to invest and you're trying to get the best price possible. And sometimes you guys, trust me, you can get burned here doing this, but you just put you sprinkle some in, you sprinkle some in, you sprinkle some in. Maybe it's $100, and you just continually add in $100 over a time frame whenever you see it down real cheap. And EXK here, it's still, it opened low, it came back up throughout the day, but still closed as a down day. This shows me that the momentum's to the upside. It's trying to put in a bottom. It wants to go up, but the overall market seems to be dragging this thing down. And it looks like that on all these stocks. There have wicks on the bottom, small candlestick bodies. It looks like the momentum's slowing, like it wants to reverse up. And we'll have to watch to see if it reverses up. Newmont, not as strong as some of the other ones, but looks okay. Franco-Nevada actually ended up today. It looks like it's wanting to reverse and move up. And we'll see if it does that tomorrow. Wheaton Precious Metals, same thing. Small little down day. It contracted in body stick length. The candlestick body length is I consider that velocity or momentum. A big sell-off means that you open and close with a big body. And then the body lengths start to contract in the opening and closing prices, meaning that the momentum is slowing. The buyers are equaling the sellers and that it's going to turn and move on up. And we're seeing that in all these companies. Like this was the big move down. We came up and it's a smaller move down, like it's the last of the sellers. And then I think we'll eventually move on up. And I like sprinkling. I'm a sprinkle master. Sprinkle some in on these bottoms here. Add a little bit. Here's Teuton Resources, this is a very volatile company, but it is a royalty company. It's one of my favorite ones. It also has some interests in some of the exploration. They have some stakes in it. Gold royalty, this bought out Ely Gold, just kind of moving sideways. Royal Gold looks like it's trying to slow down momentum and come back up. That's why we have these small candlestick bodies and clear down day candlestick bodies. Now, Irving Resources, this thing looks like it wants to go higher, a 5.4% up day. We came on down and did this double bounce. So that doesn't look too bad. That's an exploration high-risk company, to let you know. PLG is still in this downtrend. It is still not reversing. I would not be buying until it reverses to add in. And again, here's Impala Platinum. This thing, it broke to the upside and then rolled on over. But down here, I mean, this is cheap. This is cheap. If you guys like platinum and become a sprinkle master, and that's all I'm going to say, because it is cheap down here if you guys like this stuff. And I'll be honest, guys, I don't play a lot of the mining companies. I like playing. I have a little money in. It's not a lot. I have a lot in the physical metals. I'm a big physical metal guy. Physical silver, physical platinum, physical gold, that's what gets me going. The companies, I mean, I get it. You have leverage, but when that leverage, it can work against you. You've got all this risk piled on. And let's say gold and silver does go up, and let's say the governments hate this stuff. The physical, they can't really do anything with it because you own it. It's off the grid. These things they can start taxing. They can start taxing the companies themselves. They can tax you and your gains. They can do all sorts of stuff, and I'm sure they're going to do all of it. But there's the companies there. I like to buy into strength. I wait for it to bottom and start to turn back up to show you that there's strength behind it, and that you probably are at a bottom. If you're crazy and you want to try catching the bottoms, I call it catching a falling knife, and that knife can cut you. But I become a sprinkle master. So what a sprinkle master is you dollar cost average in. If you think that this is really low, you just sprinkle some in. And then tomorrow, if it goes lower or if it goes higher, sprinkle some in. Sprinkle some in. Just keep sprinkling all over to try to get as low as you can. I do that with a lot of these companies. I'm doing it with Nova Royalty right now. I'm doing it with some like Teuton Resources. I'm just sprinkling in a little bit, sprinkling in, sprinkle it in. And I have a very strong conviction of higher prices in the future because of the market conditions in real estate. So I am a huge believer in the thesis of the channel. I don't, it's not like I bring this stuff on the channel and I don't believe in it. I wholeheartedly believe in it. And to have that kind of conviction, you become a sprinkle master and you try catching some of these bottoms because why not? I believe that it's going to go up in the future because I think there's going to be greater rates of inflation. I know there's some talk about interest rates and why I believe that we're going to get higher interest rates. Higher interest rates have always been in an expansion phase of real estate. I don't know of a single expansion phase of real estate with lower interest rates. The free market is going to try to push the rates higher. If they can control it, and if they want to buy 100% of their bonds and get an inflation fest going on here, then so be it. We're going to see higher rates of inflation if they try to hold this all down. That is my opinion. And yes, they're going to try to hold some of this stuff down. They're going to try to control it. I just don't think they can. I think the market is bigger than they are, and structurally, home prices are going to go higher no matter what they do, even with higher interest rates. And that's the natural tendency is higher interest rates and higher home prices at the same time because you have a supply-demand imbalance. Homes have to get more unaffordable to balance the market, period. And I think they're going to continue to get more unaffordable. And if you get inflation and commodity prices go up, it's going to push the price of new home prices up. Everything's going to go up. Your salary's going to go up. Everything's going to go up. And that's my opinion. I don't know how you could be in the deflationary camp because then that's basically saying that the housing market is going to go down. We just have no evidence of that happening. Because every deflationary bust has had housing lead it. So if you're in that camp, you have to say that the housing market is going to bust. But you have all of the evidence is supporting higher home prices. So that's my take on it. I'll leave it at that. If you guys like this content and you like getting these updates, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the content, and thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.